last week on Gleeboot, they sang Jukebox Hero with all these screaming fans, and Allyssa hated it. They did Hand Jive, and our guest described it as being lowered into the River Styx or the Erie Canal, either one. And they sang Everybody Talks, and it was a waste of the song. And that's what you missed on Gleeboot.
I like that this week's rundown of last week was just about how meh the music was. That's great.
I liked Everybody Talks.
You did. That's right.
I liked the cover. I just thought, like, dramatically, it could have been used better.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it.
Let's not rehash last episode.
So last week, Alyssa said this thing. I think we've talked about that as a joke before on the podcast, that we're going to start reviewing the episodes of the podcast.
Yes.
Gleeboot.
So, welcome back to Gleeboot, the show where we get drunk and talk about rebooting Glee one episode at a time. I'm Cullen.
I'm Alyssa.
And I'm Hannah.
And today we have a very special guest, my boyfriend, Rafa.
Whoop, whoop.
Hi everyone, how are you?
They're all doing wonderful, I hope. Welcome to the show.
He is a fan of Grease, so I roped him into talking about Glease.
Oh,
You like Grease?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
well,
Okay.
I also am a fan of Grease, and just gonna say this episode did not do it justice.
I can't with Grease. Grease is such a odd message.
Yeah, it does. I think we talked about this last week, where it doesn't really age well, and also it is a weird concept. But I think a lot of people like it because the music is fun, and then it's also nostalgic.
I do remember the first time I watched it. Yeah, the first time I watched it, I did enjoy the music.
What's your favorite part of Grease, Rafa?
I don't know. I just like the whole movie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell you exactly what part of the movie I like the most. I just like the movie.
Everything.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah. So, Rafa, what is your journey with the show Glee?
I'm not sure.
Have you watched it before?
Yes, I have watched it before. I'm not really. I haven't watched it a lot of time that you guys have watched it before.
Yeah.
Yeah, we watch every episode.
I know.
So is this one of your first episodes you've seen? Have you seen
No, it's not my favorite episode.
Okay.
I didn't have seen it before because my sister used to watch it, but personally had never watched the whole season. So I think it's randomly some episodes I have watched before. Yeah.
Yeah, and this episode I bet is just what am I watching?
And so what are we drinking today?
I am drinking a Mexican Coke, which Rafa and I discussed doesn't actually taste different. We think it's the bottle and the psychology around that.
Yeah.
But I do have White Claws on standby after I finish this.
I tried a Mexican Coke a couple of weeks ago because I wanted to taste the difference, and it doesn't really taste different, just like you said. It's just sugar instead of corn syrup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true.
Which, Alyssa, I have to tell you, because I was telling them, I have now been converted to a real maple syrup person. Here's why. I never knew that breakfast syrup is just corn syrup with dye and flavor. And I was well, that makes sense, is why it's so cheap. So now I'm I'm gonna get the good stuff because I don't want that other stuff in my body.
Yeah.
Also, it tastes better. You're right.
Yeah. All of the above. And I can't believe that you didn't try it just on my word alone.
Actually, that's not. So I actually have. I went to this one restaurant and they're I was like, oh, can I have like the real maple syrup you have? And they're like, yeah, it's like a $3 upcharge. I'm like, okay, I guess. And it came in this tiny little bottle, and it probably is the best maple syrup I've ever had.
Yep. It's fabulous stuff. I definitely am willing to pay $20 a pop, which I do.
Yeah, that's what Cullen said. He goes, Alyssa pays for maple syrup, like a bottle of maple syrup that's more expensive than champagne.
Yep.
How much it was? It was $20.
It was $18.99 to $19. I'm rounding up.
Yeah. What are you drinking, Alyssa? Are you drinking maple syrup?
I am not drinking maple syrup. I'm drinking a mango White Claw.
Hey.
I'm drinking a Hobgoblin Ruby beer. What are you drinking?
I think I'm drinking the blackberry White Claw. Yeah, it's very nice.
This is his third White Claw, so we owe Alyssa some White Claws.
I'm sorry. Cooling has to buy you new box.
Yeah.
Yes, I demand the water bottle. Watermelon.
I'm not buying you anything.
He was like, I need to be drunk to do this.
Yeah, that's
Valid. Yeah.
We do too. That's why we drink every week.
So Rafa and I took the BuzzFeed quizzes together.
Wait, did you actually take the quizzes and find out who you really are?
No, I just had him take the quiz.
Oh, okay.
I'm still
Yep.
I'm going with Blaine.
I think what we should do is wait till the very end of the series and then take them all like on air.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yes.
And then we can be like, oh, I was wrong.
So Rafa, do you want to give them your results?
You can give them the results.
So
Ooh.
Rafa's character is Quinn Fabray.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Who has not appeared in this season yet?
Yeah,
That's
he was
true.
like,
Who knows
is
if she'll
this
be back?
bitch? This is his words. And then his boyfriend is Mike Chang.
Oh, interesting
Good.
combination.
Yes,
Mike Chang is standard. He's good.
He's not a bad guy.
Well, I don't know. He was not great in this episode.
And is he a good guy or not?
Is he what?
Is he a good guy or not?
I think he's
He
average.
is for the most part. Yeah.
he's not like a terrible human being. Like some of the people on the show, you can just point at them and be like, you're a terrible human being, and you're a terrible human being, and you're a terrible human being. But Mike
We
Chang is
do.
like, you're a pretty okay human being, plus you're a great dancer. So
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah, I mean, he left Chicago to come help with his musical at his old school. So, like, there's something stand up about him for sure.
So you guys have never taken the quiz before?
We took the boyfriend quiz.
Yeah.
But not the character quiz.
No.
We
We just-
assigned our
We
friend
played
group.
God.
Yeah, we assigned everyone characters, and we assigned characters to ourselves.
So you're Kitty.
What?
You're a Kitty.
I'm not Kitty.
Wow. Actually, I don't even think Kitty showed up in the results, so thank God.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty low blow. Someone's like, I got Kitty, and we just be like,
We-
ooh.
Oh.
Yeah, you took the
actually,
actually,
can
I
we
think I'd
reschedule
go.
you?
Yeah, we're canceling this. So today we're talking about season 4, episode 6, Glease.
Very, very clever title.
Kind of,
Yeah.
because it
Very
makes
on the nose.
me think of fleece.
That's what it makes me think of too.
And I'm just like,
Interesting.
we going to spend the entire episode in a Joanne Fabrics.
Well, Tina practically does.
True. Although if she's any kind of like sewer at all, she would know that someone was messing with things. And we can talk about that when we get to that.
I thought that too.
So, Will
Mm.
announces that he is leaving,
And everyone rejoices.
and everyone like freaks out. Tina is freaking out, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, she like gets up out of her seat and is screaming.
And then it cuts to like Unique and Marley and Jake, and they're like, we don't really know him that well, so
Like, is this a bad thing? I don't know how my sister reacts.
And he's like, Finn will be in charge, and Tina's like, what? He doesn't know what he's doing.
And then she goes, sorry, Finn, but also you don't know what you're doing.
And Finn's like, I'm confident I can do this. And then Sue comes in and is all like, in Fagan's office now. And then she's like, he can't do this. He's not a teacher. He barely graduated high school.
He doesn't have a degree.
Yeah. But then they're like, but it's not a class. And it's like, yeah, but you even
don't
have to have a
understand.
degree to be a substitute teacher. So, you know,
Do you need a degree to be? He's not a teacher, though. It's not a teaching position.
a substitute teacher, you need a degree.
He's not a teacher. It's not a position for a teacher.
I know, but what I'm saying is that, like, even a substitute who, like, sometimes just doesn't do anything, is just like a body in the classroom, like, needs a degree. So,
Yes,
like,
but
you
it's
would think
not
that-
for a teaching position. It's not for a class.
but they are working with students. They should have to at least give them a background check.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I agree
had
with that,
to
but
get a background check and take a class and stuff just to volunteer at church, even though I wasn't working with children. Just because, I mean, the church has its issues with
Yeah.
just stuff going on with children.
That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
Um,
But just because, like, they're like, we need to make sure you're okay to be allowed in these spaces.
yeah, I mean, well, I was gonna say what could be really done in like 6 months, but you know, people change.
Yeah.
Or people become themselves.
I mean, they could have this conversation about having a background check, but the conversation about him not having a license is kind of odd, especially since they specifically say that's already, like, they've already passed it with Biggins. So it just
Yeah.
feels really kind of redundant to
But
me.
also, the principal probably wouldn't be the one making the decision. It'd probably be the superintendent. But like, regardless, it is this conversation is totally pointless because they have literally already cleared it with Figgins. And Figgins like, whatever. Why are you in my office? And we're
Yeah.
like, yeah, great question.
I don't know. Why are we here?
Plus, like, crazier thing. Listen, they let Terry be. I'm arguing with myself here. They let Terry become a school nurse without having any nursing background.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
They let the Sandy Ryerson, the pedophile, back in.
right? A couple times. Oh boy.
So yeah, Sue storms out and starts throwing things, and Figgins is like, "You're a menace to the state of Ohio."
That is terrific.
This is one of those times I was like, why isn't she getting fired on the spot? I don't understand why they keep her around.
Because she has the minimum qualifications to be a coach.
So meanwhile, in New York, Rachel is talking with Brody because there's some juniors helping in the class for whatever reason. In Cassandra's class, she's talking with Brody about how she's auditioning for an off-Broadway play of The Glass Menagerie.
With Peter Dinklage
Yeah.
in the lead role, I think she said, right?
Yeah. The gentleman caller role.
Oh, I don't know.
I've never seen it, so I don't know references to any
Never
of these.
seen it, never read it. Don't know
It's
what
a good
about.
play.
Is it?
Yeah. I saw it when we went to go visit BU before like our grad program, like that visit session
Where we first met?
where we first met.
Oh.
I was like, this girl's from the Midwest. I can trust her.
And we looked at missions and we're like, Yeah,
Yeah, we both worked in admissions. Yeah.
that's what we bonded over.
Yeah. So, and then her and Brody are gonna go over lines together, and Cassandra's like, "You're not ready for this director. He made me do my monologue on one leg while pouring tomato soup on myself."
In like a negligee or
Yeah.
a slip, and I was like, weird.
That's illegal.
Sounds like yeah, that sounds like some sexual harassment. But...
And then she's like, "You should audition for the mom," and she's like, "The faded Southern belle." And she's like, "You should get back out there."
Yeah, that was really overstepping, which like Rachel does, and like that's what she does best, frankly.
Yeah.
But like it just felt so weird. And Cassandra just like she like has her thing around her neck and she's like, "Oh, you mean this character?" Like having a full character like breakdown ready as if like she was already preparing to audition.
Yeah. Well, she didn't say you should audition. Rachel didn't say you should audition for the mom. She used the actual name of the part. And I was like, nothing that they're saying makes any sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, because I've never seen it or read it or know anything about it. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to take everything that she's saying about this character part and like use it as my Bible for this scene.
Yeah. Really.
It didn't really have like a huge impact for me just because I didn't know what was really going on with the actual play itself. So
yeah, and I couldn't tell if Cassandra, because I kept writing in my notes Miranda, like the director, Miranda July. But like I couldn't tell if Cassandra was like offended and she was like trying to like throw it back in her face, like, "Oh, the old woman, you think I'm an old woman," kind of thing, or if it was just like, "This is my character background, I know it, I'm ready." Like I couldn't tell what was happening there.
I
I think
think
it
she
was
was trying to the first
latter.
one.
The former.
Okay,
The
I was
former.
gonna be like, whoa.
And then Cassandra asked Brody to be her TA, which I'm like, she's like, "Oh, we'll just like start this week," and he's like, "Oh, can we do next week?" And I'm like, "Aren't TAs like a structured thing?"
Yeah,
The
they quite
university.
literally are. But this school has no structure.
It makes me anxious just thinking about it.
Yeah.
So meanwhile at McKinley, Marley can't fit into her costume.
And Tina is just like, "Oh, this is so strange."
It fit you yesterday. Why does it fit you today?
And then she's like, "Oh, maybe it's just." Is this when she says like it's
stress
pre-show?
bloating.
Yeah, she's like, "I get it all the time," and I was like, "Okay, sure, but get your fucking stitches."
And we find out Kitty that has been sneaking in and shrinking the costumes at night.
No, not shrinking the costumes, because that makes me think about like Kitty knows how to use a washer to shrink a costume. No, Kitty knows how to rip out seams and replace a zipper and cut a costume down. So she's literally like re-sewing the costume.
Oh, see, I thought she was just like, I don't know what she was doing, but I figured it was like it's something that you would be able to like look at and be like, "No, something's definitely different here." Like
Well,
you would be
if
able to see it.
Yeah, I mean, Tina, like you hold up a skirt, you can tell that you have 10 inches of skirt, from one side to another, and then the next day you have 8 inches, and the next day after that you have 7 inches.
Write down your measurements, pal.
There's actually something happening. Like you would be able to tell.
Also, like poor Tina's work. Like
I know, I'd be really mad.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there's a lot to hate about this storyline, but like that's definitely one of the things.
Yeah. Kitty is a terrorist. I've said it before and I'll say it again. She's an enemy to the safety of the United States of America, our emotional well-being as a whole.
Yeah, Department of Homeland Security, get her.
Yes. what a nightmare. And Kitty's like, oh, maybe you're just bloating to your natural weight or something. She's just like, she says like a bunch of super mean things.
Horrible.
Yeah, like
And-
she's finally growing into her metabolism or something like
Yeah,
that.
like
Yeah,
her
her-
metabolism's slowing down.
It's this is like horrible.
And then she's like, I want to have a sleepover. I joined this play because I need real friends. I spend my nights alone because everyone assumes the popular girl is busy.
No, Kitty, I don't think that's actually why you're alone. You're alone because you're a fucking bitch.
That is true.
I figured she was just lying about being alone on weekends.
I figured she was just lying to like, she was like, oh yeah, I want to be in this play because I want friends. I'm alone. Like, she's just lying straight up. It's like, you can't trust anything that she says. Like,
Yeah, she's just like, basically, Kitty's default is lying, so I never trust anything that comes out of her mouth.
yeah, does she even know the truth anymore? Getting lost in the sauce.
Why do you need to know the truth? If you're always lying, like,
The truth is subjective. There's always multiple sides to a story.
we all live in our own realities that clash together in one world.
She's drowned in her lies. A quote from Camp Rock, which I just talked about on our guest Eliza's podcast, Judging by the Title.
I love it.
Yay!
So do you know what Camp Rock's about?
I
Me?
do.
It's about friendship.
And as I
Oh.
said,
I don't even remember what it's about.
as I said in the podcast, I'll be processing this movie for the rest of my goddamn life.
Yeah, quick thing about, speaking of Jonas Brothers, I was gonna go see them in October when they come. They're gonna be in Jacksonville. We were gonna get the tickets and they were like $60 a piece, like cool, whatever. They skyrocketed over 2 weeks and now they're like $200 a piece, even for nosebleeds.
Damn.
Not surprising.
So I don't get to live my Joe Bro dreams.
Mm.
Get an SOS.
Yeah. I wonder if they would sing that song at their concert.
SOS?
Probably. I think so. I think they do a little pandering to the fans, even though they
Yeah.
really want to do their whole album that probably no one listened to the whole of.
Yeah.
I only listened to the singles.
So Kitty is like, let's have a sleepover with all us girls. And then Unique is like, can I come? And Marley's like, I'm not coming if Unique can't come. And Kitty's like, fine, but if you wiggle your dick around like the guy in Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, she's like, if I catch you like tucking and then like jumping around like him, you're out. And I'm like, one, like that's a really deep cut for like the audience of this show. I was like, is that really supposed to be a joke for the parents? Like, I don't think it's funny. So
I would just be like, you know what, Kitty, maybe we don't want to go to your sleepover.
yeah, why would they want to go to a place where like clearly they're clearly being like verbally abused at school? Why would they go to her house? Like, she could have a torture chamber there.
Yeah, it seems very strange to me that they actually want to go to this. Any of them. Because Kitty is so mean.
Yeah. It's clearly them working back from the Sandra Dee song. It's super obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's literally the only reason that everyone's like, yeah, I want to go too.
And then or Marley goes to talk to her mom, and we get, oh boy, this scene. She's like, when did you start getting big? And then her mom's like, well, I always started with my weight. Then when we thought having you would fix the problems between me and your dad, that's when I started eating and I didn't stop. And then Marley's like, she says something, Marley's like nervous about that her costume didn't fit. And she's like, I didn't raise a victim. I didn't raise a quitter. You are young and thin and beautiful. And the only way you can control this is to get ahead of it and control your body. We're going on a strict diet.
So there's a lot wrong here.
Yeah.
I don't understand why Well, this could be obviously, I think, a normal reaction that the mom would be like, maybe possibly freaking out that her daughter could be showing signs of gaining weight like she did, for wanting her daughter to have a better life, be healthier, whatever. I think some of that could be a natural reaction. But what I don't understand is why her daughter, who clearly looks to be very healthy, why she would ever suggest we're going on a strict diet. Like,
I'm like, you're just enabling an eating disorder at this point.
yeah. I was dumbfounded by that. And like, that's just not a reaction. That I don't think is a reaction that a mom would have. It would be like, honey, like, you're beautiful. You don't need to do that. And it doesn't matter what size you are, you're always going to be beautiful. Something like that. Like, that sounds more like an actual mom in this situation.
Well, I mean, a good mom.
Right.
They're trying to pass her off as a good mom. So I agree.
So frustrating.
Yeah.
The whole that you are thin and beautiful. So like her beauty is equated with her thinness.
Right.
It's almost like they're trying to back up a few steps because they already established her mother is having like insecurities about her weight. And trying to like smush them in with her trying to be a good mom. It's just a little bit like dumbfounding. Like, yeah. I don't really understand the nuances behind it. And maybe that's why I don't get this scene, but
I was like, is it nuanced or is it just like bad all around?
Yeah, I'm thinking that this scene was just written not very well and they could have done it a lot better, but I've never had to deal with those problems. So I don't know how I would write it.
Yeah, there's definitely some fat phobia going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a really awkward and unhealthy scene. Like the whole thing is.
Yeah, and it like this is sort of the beginning of where I'm like, oh, like what message are like the kids who are watching this show getting? Like, what are they grasping from this and internalizing? This is where that starts and then splinters.
My situation was almost opposite because I always thought my mom, she and I have very different bodies. I'm built more like my dad, where my mom is like very tall and willowy. I'm kind of more compact like my dad. And I always got really upset because she was like sizes smaller than me while I was in high school. So it's like a very opposite situation for me. So I have no idea like how this is supposed to, I don't even understand the feelings that are happening because I just don't. So.
And neither do the people who wrote the scene.
Yeah.
So Finn goes to the teacher's lounge.
Which he shouldn't be in there because he's not a teacher.
Yeah, and Sue was like, no, you cannot be in here. He's like, I came to apologize for calling your baby the R word.
Why do they keep saying it? Like, I can't, like, is it just like the time where like you could still technically say it? Because like I think even now, like, you wouldn't be allowed to say it on TV, I don't think.
Okay, well, I know what happened between them because I didn't understand why they didn't get lunch together.
I mean, I don't think he was there for lunch, but last episode, he called her baby retarded and then said it again this episode. And I'm like, we already established that you already apologized. Why are we doing this again in the lunchroom in front of everyone?
Yeah. Like,
it was weird.
It was one of those like repeat scenes. Like, it's like you don't, But I guess like if you're coming at it from like, well, no, I mean we watched it last week, so like we're just like the audience in real life too. I don't know. It just feels really strange. Another repeat.
Well, and Sue just has always kind of hated Finn, just for no reason.
Yeah.
That's what Sue does.
Maybe it's because she's threatened he's taller than her. I noticed that because like normally Jane Lynch is like taller than everybody, and then like she actually has to like look up into Corey Monteith's eyes. I was like, that's where it is. That's what Sue doesn't like about him.
Anna, you're like waving your hands around, and I see you brandishing this corkscrew. Yeah, and I'm like, ooh, scary.
Yeah, a couple more White Claws, and this could be dangerous.
Careful.
Mostly myself.
Because she calls him like McGriddle, McGravy pants, and double stuff, and
he's not fat.
No, he's not. I don't understand.
Now, he's much more thin than he was when he first started the show. Like he's even thinner.
Is it just because he doesn't have like a chiseled body?
Probably.
Yeah.
Because they hate anyone who doesn't have abs.
I don't get it.
Also, can we quickly talk? Oh wait, never mind. It's in a different scene.
Let's talk about the scene that I think you're referring to, where Kurt and Rachel are practicing or stretching to prepare Rachel for her audition in the dance studio, and Cassandra comes in and Kurt's like, whoa, you've got amazing abs.
Yeah, Kurt's like, ooh, abs. I was like, me too, Kurt.
And she's like, she slaps him, and then she's like, not Kurt, she slaps her abs.
Yeah. She just slaps Kurt. How dare you look at my fabulous abs?
And then she's like, so what were you talking about? And they're like, oh, Kurt wants to go see our high school production of Grease. Our ex-boyfriend directed it, and our other ex-boyfriend is in it. And she's like, you should go for closure and just have a good time. And they're like, Rachel's like, I spent all my money on my last trip home.
I flipped out. I literally was like, so she wasted all the money that she had saved up for probably to live off of to go to Ohio to make sure Finn was okay.
No, to break up with Finn. To break up with Finn. That's why she went.
Right, but she also went there to check up on him.
I guess. Yeah, this is the first time they're mentioning money because they're always flipping between New York and Ohio, and I'm like, this is the first time that they've decided that they don't have money. Really?
Yeah. In a because it's convenient, they need it this time. Normally it's fantasy. This is real life.
And Cassandra is like, you use my JetBlue frequent flyer miles. I can't use them anymore.
Line has been crossed. This is not something you offer students.
Yeah. I didn't even think you could actually transfer miles to other people.
I don't think so.
Alyssa, do you have any insight?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have any miles to speak of.
True. I just kind of assumed that like your dad works for an airline, so that maybe you would.
My dad flies the planes. He doesn't have anything to do with
customer service.
No.
And she's like, I can't use them because I attacked and hospitalized 3 flight attendants.
Because she had a Bloody Mary fueled anxiety attack at 30,000 feet, and I'm like, that must be fun.
I'm like, this woman is a menace.
She is also a terrorist.
These characters are dangerous to
fly
society.
list, a no-fly list.
They're dangerous to society.
It made me like stop and be like, oh no, that's really bad. Just because of all of the people who've been kicked off of flights and made flights like take emergency procedure landings because they refuse to wear a mask. Like,
yeah. What about like why didn't people like why isn't that part of like her rap sheet when Kurt was like, oh my god, Cassandra July, she blew up in a theater, like she also blew up and injured like flight attendants, like why aren't people talking about that too?
Maybe nobody caught it on camera.
You're right.
Yeah.
They don't have proof.
Mm-hmm.
So they decide to go to their high school production of Grease, which is honestly an insane life choice.
Yep.
Because like Cassandra's like, oh, you know what? Just like go to get closure, or go just to be with your friends, or go to have fun, go support people. And I'm like, some of these are like good excuses, but also like, I don't
Just
think
because
they're
they're
good enough.
Yeah, like the fact that they're coming from her, you shouldn't
Yeah.
trust it.
That's what I thought too. It was like, why is she being nice, quote unquote?
You already knew that she was being evil with her.
Yeah. Those intentions was very clear. We're like, I don't trust you.
Yeah. So then Sue booked the auditorium for the whole time, so they can't practice in the auditorium. So Finn takes them to the tire shop to practice Grease Lightning, which they perform in a performance including Mike Chang, the choreographer.
And Finn and Artie.
Do you know how long it took me to figure out after they switched? So they're doing like this in the tire shop, and then it switches to a fantasy scene of how it looks on stage. And I could not figure out who Mike Chang was. It took me forever, like half time.
That guy.
Yes, I was like, who is the slightly darker toned skin person? And like, I find him very attractive. And it took me like half the song to realize that it was Mike Chang. I think it's because his hair was so different.
Maybe it might have been like slicked back or something.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, there's Sam, and I was listing them off on my fingers, and I was like, who is that person?
So Grease Lightning, it is basically the movie. Like it almost like shot for shot, it feels like. It's fine. I guess I liked that I could understand the lyrics. They're very well pronounced.
They changed it from cream to scream.
Yes, I noticed that. Which I guess makes sense. That ain't no crap. We'll be getting lots of that. Grease Lightning. Noted that one because it's supposed to be shit. Getting lots of tit. I think it is something like that. And what else? Oh, but they left "Get Off My Rocks," which is quite literally a euphemism.
Yeah.
Like they just left.
I didn't really like the dancing.
What's funny is that it's less energetic than the movie, and the movie was a bunch of 30-year-old dudes. These are like 20-year-old dudes. It's bizarre. It was kind of boring to me.
Yeah.
Like, it made me be like, I love Grease Lightning in the movie. It's kind of fun. I kind of want to watch Grease. I wanted to turn it off and just be like, let's pop on Grease instead.
I think it was pretty boring because I was preoccupied with figuring out who Mike Chang was the whole time. That's it. That's all I was thinking about.
Yeah, if you can focus on that, you're not like, I'll figure it out later. You were like, God, who is that? I don't care about anything else that's happening.
I was not distracted at all by any of the dancing or anything that happened. I only wanted to know who Mike Chang was.
Yeah. And so then the sleepover happens.
For some reason.
Kitty is showing Marley her trophies for most tongues spoke at Bible camp.
I laughed out loud.
I missed that.
That was really funny.
Most tongues. I love that.
And the horse that she used to ride before it broke her hymen.
Did not like that. No. Mm-mm.
What is that referring to? Because I didn't understand.
So You know what a hymen is, though, right?
No.
Okay, so a hymen is, I'm going to be explaining this. Actually, this is educational for everyone. So hymen is like a piece of tissue that's inside a vagina. It's quote unquote supposed to signal virginity, but that's totally bullshit.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So, and you can actually like rip your hymen through a lot of different accidents, like
Like
you're
bike
riding. Yeah, like bike riding, like if you hit the seat really hard, like probably horse riding if you're on those saddles, like the pressure and stuff could probably break it. So yeah, I don't think anyone really knows why it's there. It's just a thing. But yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's yeah. I didn't ever know that it had a name, but I knew what it was from like historical dramas and stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I always would check that when the woman was getting married.
Yeah. That's that's what a hymen is. They just really wanted Kitty to say the word hymen in this episode. Go back and drink for every time I've said the word hymen. You're welcome.
Hymen is also the Greek god of marriage.
Makes sense.
And I
That's
remember
why they named it that.
in a college Shakespeare class, someone was like, why are they talking about this girl's hymen? And the professor was like, actually, they're talking about the god of marriage.
Wow, awkward.
Yeah.
So they are at this fucking sleepover.
And they all come in with like all these snacks.
Like Krispy Kremes, which honestly I was like, ooh, now I want some Krispy Kreme donuts.
Yeah, same.
But Unique got the chocolate topped ones, and I was like, really?
I think just classic.
Yeah. Don't get fancy on it.
And Marley's like, are there any healthy snacks? And then Kitty's like, come over here. And she takes her to the bathroom and is like, these two fingers are your best friend. And she's like, do you do that? Like, you need to learn to binge and purge. She's like, I don't want to make myself throw up. That's gross. And she's like, what's even grosser is busting out of your Sandy costume with sour cream and chili cheese fries and your corpulent stomach or something.
So, yeah, a bunch of gross stuff.
And she's like, do you do this? And she's like, I would if I had the fat gene. You don't just have the fat gene, you have the circus fat gene. No offense.
Clearly offensive.
Anytime someone says no offense, you can just automatically assume that it's going to be offensive.
Yeah. Like she's literally giving her an eating disorder. Literally. And the way that it's so like that Marley's size and possible weight gain, quote unquote, is so vilified. Like, I can't even imagine the messaging that kids are just accidentally implanting in their heads.
And it's not even like she's unintentional. Like, sometimes you see this tackled where like one person with an eating disorder is like saying this worked for me, but she's not even doing that.
She's like, purposely saying like, no, I don't do this, I don't have to, but you do.
Yeah, it's very, very toxic.
Yeah,
it's toxic, but as someone who struggled with eating disorders, it felt very realistic.
Did someone told you to throw up?
That like the way they're passed on is through like comments and people picking at you and implying things, and like, so maybe not like it's Glee, so it's going to be a little more direct and obvious than in real life, but like for me it was like other people's comments that gave me an eating disorder.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that like the contextual stuff of like her picking at her, but I think the being like, no, you need to also like make yourself throw up kind of thing was, I think maybe they're doing that so it doesn't seem as realistic as like it would in other shows or real life. Like maybe they are trying to separate the show from reality a bit because of the subject being so like triggering. But like, I'm still of the belief that like if it's in a piece of media, someone can take it however, and just so like it's really hard to tackle stuff like that.
Well, it's because Glee is pop culture, and pop culture has the view that being fat is one of the worst things you can be.
Yeah. So it's like, it's, I think that's why like they can't separate themselves. Like there's no way, because
Yeah.
even from the beginning, they've had like, even like Sans Marley's story, they've still had fat phobic stuff. So
Yeah.
it's just like they've already dug themselves in. But then like after that, I literally wrote, why does Kitty have a Marley cosplay?
Yeah.
That was weird.
Well, Marley's in the bathroom thinking about whether or not she's gonna throw up. Kitty pulls out her Marley cosplay. He's like, "Where's Marley?" And they're like, "I'm here with my mud brown hair and my signature Newsies cap."
Which now I feel bad for making fun of, because I'm like, oh, Marley, no.
And she starts singing, "Look at me, I'm Sandra D." And all the girls just go along with it.
Which is what happens in the movie, which I guess like it kind of makes more sense in the movie because Rizzo is the Pink Lady's friend, but Kitty is not their friend. Why do they go along with it? It doesn't make any sense contextually. It's just bullying. And like, also, why does Kitty have old school Dreamboat actors on her wall? Because of the song? That's a bit...
She was prepared for the song. She was like, I'm putting this up. This is going to be a great bit. She bought the brown wig. She bought the Newsies cap. She's like,
this is going to kill. She's practicing her stand-up. Also, during the song, I think it's Sugar, who's like on the side of the bed, head down, like feet up, does like a twerking thing in the air. And it's to the lyric, I know what you want to do. And Kitty's like hands on Sugar's legs, and like a very suggestive move is happening. And I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah,
this is the most homoerotic thing I've ever seen.
And I think Tina has like a panda hat.
Yeah, because she's Asian, right?
Yeah,
apparently.
which is just like, oh, Glee.
I also was like, is it weird that Tina, who is Asian, is the one who's the seamstress? Is there something there, or am I just reading into it? I decided there's probably something there, but you know. But yeah, so, and also what doesn't make any sense to me is why Unique is going along with this. Like, Unique and Marley have been tight from the beginning, and Unique is like one of the most bullied people right now. Why would she go along with this?
Just for the number. They're all like, we got to commit to this bit.
Do it for the bit.
Which reminds me, I need to make that TikTok about melting ice cream.
Oh yeah.
I bought ice cream for it to do it.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited. I can't wait.
What?
On a couple episodes ago, we were talking about how Brody and Rachel are like licking ice cream sexually, and Cullen's like, I can do it.
Are you doing that in our kitchen? Because I just cleaned it, so
I know. I was literally thinking of that. I was
do it
just
in the
like,
shower. That'd be ruder. That'd be like, why this? People would be like, I have to like look at this TikTok. I have to deconstruct it. Why is he in the shower? Why is the ice cream already on his hand? Why is he in a banana suit? Like, I can't wait for this video.
So then,
oh my God, I forgot to talk about this amazing line. When Marley says, are there any healthy snacks? Brittany, eating a donut, says, you can eat Kleenex, they taste like clouds. I love that line.
That made me think of Elf when he eats the cotton balls.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so that's that scene.
Yeah. And then at the school, we meet with Unique / Wade's parents and in Figgins' office.
They're the Addams family.
They are the Addams family.
LOL.
And they are upset because they found out Unique was playing Rizzo, and they were fine with him being unique on stage in Chicago, but they're nervous about him unique doing it in Ohio. Because audiences will be less accepting, and Sue points out that Unique's being bullied at school, and so they ask that during school Unique dress and act as Wade.
I wonder if they really call them upset. They don't seem angry or mad or scared in any way.
Yes, they're like very casual about it. Like even the mom has like a smile on her face. Like we let them be whoever they want to be. We accept that. And she's like happy.
It's very interesting to me because I feel like this is a conversation that they probably had at home, and they had all of their drama at home and then decided what they were going to do, and then this is what they were going to do, and this is how they're going to approach it. And like it's also something that I could see actually happening, where parents are like, you know what, we love you the way you are, but we're pretty sure not everybody is going to love you the way that you are, and we want to protect you right now.
That part's, I think, super realistic. I can understand it, even if I'm like, no, but I'm also like, I get it. The only one who's actively fighting against it in this scene, and not even so much, is Finn, because there's nothing he can really do because it really is up to the parents.
Yeah.
But like, the scene kind of falls flat for me because it feels like I wanted something more out of it. But I don't know.
There really isn't the drama there that there could be, because the drama already happened. Like they already talked about it. Like,
yeah. Finn is like, how could you do this? And she's like, you mean conveniently protect the welfare of a student that just so happens to ruin your musical? You have no Rizzo, you have no show. This is exactly something I would do. Classic Sue. And I'm like, yeah.
Going back to her roots.
Yeah. So they're like talking about who's going to be the new Rizzo. And they ask Santana to come back and be Rizzo.
Finn calls her a non-student, a former student. And everyone's like, oh my God, Santana, you're going to be so perfect. But how are you going to be off book? And she's like, please, I was like born to play this role. And poor Tina sprints in. I just spit all over my computer. She sprints in and she's like, okay, guys, like, I think I can be like partially off book. I know all the songs, but I may have to hold the script during the second half. She goes, oh, Santana. And they're like, oh, we already called Santana. And she's like, are you kidding me? I thought she was going to literally explode, but that's it.
I was mad. I was mad for her.
I would have to the principal, be like, they gave it to someone who isn't a student, and I am a student.
I was very upset for Tina.
Yeah, I would be upset too. Like, that bothered me. Like, a lot of the plays that were available through homeschoolers, like, they'd have like people that were former students do it, and I'm like, I don't want to be playing second fiddle to the same people who are now like freaking married. Like, they should have their own life and let me do my high school play.
Go do community theater somewhere else.
Yeah. So I was very like, I was on Tina's side, and I was like, what? And they're like, plus you're already playing Jan. And I'm like, I don't even know who the character of Jan is.
She's the one that goes, brasha, 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 na 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 na. She's got like, she's basically a caricature of a person.
So, like Tina.
Yeah. Typecast.
Yeah.
Typecast from who she's in real life.
Upsetting.
From her Glee life, I should say.
And so they're getting ready for the play, and the costume is still getting tighter. And so Marley is throwing up in the bathroom.
Well, can we please visit the line, how could you have gained 2 inches of weight in one day?
Yeah.
You
that's
can't.
not how. Yeah,
That's
that's not
the
how.
answer.
Yeah, that's not how it works. Like, unless you literally eat like 4 bowls of Chipotle, and so like your stomach just protrudes, but still, like, you'd
I
probably be
think that
able
would
to
be
squeeze
possible.
into it.
Yeah, I don't think you can actually gain 2 inches of weight. I
Well, you
think
can't
you'd
gain 2
probably.
inches of weight anyway.
Well, no, but you know what I'm saying.
Like 2 inches around your waist, you probably could if you have like enough food.
In one day? But for
Yeah.
her stomach, I don't know. Is
I don't know,
literally
your stomach expands and will push out. I don't know if like 2 whole inches, but maybe an inch.
it does extend and push out, but like the less food that you eat on a daily basis, the smaller your stomach is and the less that it can expand. So if you eat smaller portions consistently, which I assume that Marley does, just because we never see her eating, and I imagine that she probably tries to limit her intake anyway, because she's probably insecure with her mom.
You could probably it could be snug, but it's still gonna fit. Like, it's not gonna be.
I feel like her stomach would burst before it would. She'd have to go to the hospital before.
So then, like, what do they end up doing to the costume?
They don't explain
it. Or
I think they didn't they let me see if I can find some elastic or something.
Yeah.
And then that was it. That was it. Which honestly, that's not a bad costume idea. Like,
why didn't you do elastic to begin with? You don't need zippers. Zippers are more expensive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then Kitty is the one who brings her to the restroom.
Yeah.
And is like, Scout's honor, let's go. And I'm like, gross.
With the 2 fingers instead of 3 fingers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Ryder comes into the bathroom and catches Kitty throwing up and is like, what are you doing? And she's like,
because he's like watching her and Kitty interact, and then they run by and he like watches them. It's like, huh.
Sus.
Creepy. And then he goes into a girl's bathroom because he's creepy.
And then he's like, I don't want to kiss a girl who has puke on her breath.
Thanks, bro.
Marley comes out of the restroom and she's like crying, and they have a little conversation. And that's like at the end of the conversation, I was like, that's what you have to say? That's what you have to say?
Yeah, but you know, he's in the process of curing her eating disorder, so it's fine, right?
I feel like that potentially made it worse.
Right? Like, he was like, oh, great, thank you for making me feel like garbage.
He talks about I thought this was kind of funny. His cousin who was trying to lose weight on the wrestling team.
Yeah.
And so he started using laxatives. It's actually a really tragic story, but then he crapped himself in the middle of a match. But before he says that, and then one day in the middle of a match, Marley's like, he died.
Which he probably could have, like.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, he crapped his pants in front of the whole thing. And she like laughs and like, aw, he's curing her eating disorder.
All you need is a cute boy to tell you you're worth it.
Or to tell you you won't be worth it unless you stop doing this.
Yeah. That's so funny. They do say that laughter is the best medicine, you know?
Yeah.
So then she sings the Look at Me, I'm Sandra D reprise.
Yes, she does. I don't think it really matches the story, but sure. Because Sandy doesn't have an eating disorder that we know of in Grease, so I can't imagine why this would make sense, but sure.
It actually doesn't really match the story. I was listening to the lyrics and watching what was going on, and I was like, okay, this is real odd.
Yeah.
So Kurt and Rachel come back to high school, and they're looking at their old lockers.
Which I was like, oh, I actually kind of did that, but it wasn't like oh, look, my old locker. I was like, ooh, can I get into it still? And I tried my combination. It didn't work.
Meanwhile, Alyssa goes back to high school and is like, I think my locker was somewhere around here.
that sounds about right. Like, I think this is the school I went to.
And then the Mercedes is like, hi, and they're like, oh my gosh, tell us everything. And she's like, it's crazy singing backup vocals, doing this, and taking UCLA classes. And I'm like, you left UCLA to do this?
Yeah, no.
Does she
That
go
is
to UCLA?
apparently.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Apparently, okay.
Yeah. Like, but that's crazy is like maybe she was taking online classes, or maybe she was like, hey, I have to leave for maybe 2 weeks because that's usually the runtime of rehearsing for a Glee musical. And they're like, oh, if it's only gonna be 2 weeks, whatever.
Yeah. In real life, it's 3 months.
Yeah. And they would be like, absolutely not. You have to drop out.
Yeah. And they're like, yeah, tell us everything. And
She doesn't.
she doesn't. They
They
go
don't
back.
give her any time to actually like. She's like, oh, it's whatever, and like it's like, okay, thanks, Mercedes, bye.
And then they're backstage and they run into Finn and Blaine and they're like, it's awkward. And they're surprised that they came and Finn's like, well, I hope you enjoy the show.
Okay, question though. And this is kind of going back a few scenes. When Rachel and Kurt are talking about going to see this, Kurt is like begging her, please, please, can we go? I haven't seen him in like ages and I'm dying or something.
Mhm.
Dramatic, equally dramatic. Those aren't the exact words. But that gave me an impression that he actually wanted to see Blaine.
And that's not how he acts with Blaine at all.
No.
Yeah, that is confusing.
I was like, okay, is he here to make up with Blaine? That's what I was expecting. And that's not what happens.
Huh. I don't know.
And that was the only reason I was kind of like considering that this might be an interesting storyline, was to see the makeup scene between Kurt and Blaine. I was looking forward to that. And I was highly disappointed. Very, 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 very disappointed. First of all, that they didn't make up and I didn't get to see that drama. And second of all, that we had to go on this journey with them when it's insane and no one would ever do that. And why are we here? Just to rehash all of the things we already saw. It's incredibly
Yeah.
redundant.
Nothing happened between them.
Nothing.
Literally nothing.
Mm-mm.
Except for some gross stuff that Finn said to her at the end of the
Yes,
thing.
which
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
get there. But
yeah. That's
like,
what I'm here to talk about.
I did not expect anything between Rachel and Finn, but I
Mm-mm.
was expecting something between Kurt and Blaine, and that would maybe
At the
lift
very
up the
least.
subplot.
No, do
It
you know who
didn't.
gets closure that we were not expecting and we weren't really supposed to care about because we never see these people? Mike and Tina.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So Brittany and Santana get a little scene. And it's cute. And Brittany's like, it's hard. I miss you, especially on Friday nights, which used to be our date nights. And Santana's like, yeah, but we know this can't work out. And that's really the gist of the whole scene, but it's a nice
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah, Brittany's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm not dating anyone, boy or girl. And Santana's like, yeah, but like, you know, like you could, but I'm glad you're not. And it's like, aw.
And then Brittany mentions that like the song that Santana's supposed to be singing is supposed to be sad, and then she like ends up making her sad by talking about the fact that they're not dating anymore, and that's okay, and especially because this used to be Friday, and Friday used to
Also-
be our date night.
The fact that Brittany says that like, oh yeah, it's a song that Mercedes was supposed to sing. And I was like, really? Really, Brittany?
Yeah,
You don't know
She
the
still
difference
has
between
not
two
figured-
very different
Okay.
people?
What happened? I want to see what happens when Wade and Mercedes are in the same room. Does Brittany's mind explode? There are two Mercedes.
Oh, then she'll have to confront her own possible face blindness or racism.
What's gonna happen? I'm invested in this particular tiny little plot that we haven't seen yet. and I want to know.
You probably won't ever see it.
I want to see it.
And so then Santana gets on stage and the things. Well, first we get Beauty School Dropout.
By Teen Angel.
Blaine
Blaine.
to Sugar as Frenchie.
What is this set design? Like, it's literally like a movie set. And I'm like, what are you people doing? How are you moving that set to get the next set? Like, what is happening?
It is true. That's unreal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like the one later, I'm like, okay, yeah, some kids could have thrown that together. Like, so this one is just bananas.
Yeah.
What kind of was crazy to me is Sugar kind of looks a lot like the woman who played Frenchie in the movie, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Oh, you're right.
I was like, oh wow, there's like a lot of resemblance there. But yeah, I mean, this song was pretty similar to the movie. Did she blow gum in a bubble and get it popped? I
No.
don't
No.
think so. So it's really close. It's a pretty honest adaptation, essentially.
I did
What?
not like the setup they had with her facing away from the audience on the stage.
Yeah, because that's the thing is that like that's how the movie is. Like there are shots of that. Like I get it, but yeah, for the
This is on stage. That's
on
like
stage, it really doesn't make any
directing
sense.
101.
It would have made more sense if they had her like being guided around the stage or something in like a beauty chair.
Something
Yeah.
like
Could have been
that.
something
Yeah.
interesting.
It
But like
wasn't,
that way they could see her reaction.
yeah, it wasn't dynamic or anything because we just saw the back of her head.
And then she fell over because she fainted, and that was it.
During the song when Blaine like spots Kurt in the audience, and I was like, "There's no
Oh
way
yeah,
you
Yeah,
can't
you
see
can't
anyone
see
in the
anyone in the
audience when
audience."
you're on the stage."
no. I've been on a stage a couple times in high school. It is pitch black out there, and honestly, that was the only thing that got me up there because I knew I couldn't see anyone.
Yeah,
That's what got rid of my stage fright. I was like, I can't fucking see anyone. That's fine.
especially with the amount of bright lights that they had on that stage.
In your
No,
face. Like when you're
nada.
on stage, it's in your face. All you see is like lens flares essentially
Yeah,
in pitch black. Like you might be able to see people in the front row if like the auditorium is like that.
maybe silhouettes if you like look hard enough and you
Yeah.
shield your eyes.
But that also happens all the time in during like their performances on like the competitions. Like you can always be like, oh, face journeys because they're having eye contact, and so you can't fucking see them.
No,
Yeah.
you can't. Plus, who has time for a face journey when you're trying to dance and sing at the same time?
Apparently everyone in Glee.
I don't know, but he looked really cute. I fall in love with him.
Yeah, no, he was very dreamy.
Yeah, he was.
I think it's I can't remember who plays that role in the movie, but like a very like dreamboat then too. So like they picked like the only other dreamboat that I think like would make sense in the role would be Sam, but he's too goofy to be that role. So
Yeah, Rafa texted me and was like, I'm falling in love with Blaine.
yep.
So that was actually the second time that he was doing the performance of Glee. Because after I saw some scenes that he was actually in the Glee when the other guys were still in high school. So that was actually the second time that he was doing the Glee performance.
Yeah, he was in last year too, when everyone else was
Yeah.
still in
Yeah,
high
yeah.
school.
Yeah, but no, this was his second musical with them. I forgot that because they never showed us West Side. Oh no, they did show
They
us
did.
West Side Story. I've already forgotten what else happened.
Santana Things, There Are Worse Things I Could Do.
Which I really like that song, but I was super disappointed that it was not unique.
I was too. I love that song. I think it's probably one of my favorite songs from the movie because Rizzo's my favorite character. But It was also the weirdest threesome singing I have ever heard. Like it, I mean, not like that I've heard that, like I've seen. I just could not have pictured these three people singing the same song. It was just like, I don't know how they put that together, but they did.
Yeah, because then
So Cassie, Kate,
Yeah.
Cassie, and
Unique.
Wade. Well, he's
So,
Wade right
Santana
now.
is singing it on stage in character.
Yeah.
And then Wade is having like a sort of dream sequence while the show is happening, singing it alongside or duet with Santana.
Well, he's in the audience.
Yeah. And then
all the way in New York.
cuts to New York. Cassandra July knows they're also singing the song, and she's singing it while
she's hooking up with the guy.
Yeah, what is she doing? Like, what are they
Dancing
rehearsing
with
for?
Except that he has his shirt
No
off.
shirt on. Which, like, I'm not
Very
complaining.
extremely inappropriate.
Yes, that I'm complaining about. That is not appropriate. It's so
No.
like the Wade Santana thing made sense to me. But when you throw Cassandra in there, I'm like, I don't know what's happening. What's going on? Why is this happening?
Very strange choice. I think they wanted that scene in there with what's his face?
Brody.
Brody. I was gonna call him Derek. Whoa.
That's triggered. That's a triggering name for me. And Cullen. Hashtag smash.
Yeah. So that was, I feel like they wanted that scene with her and Brody, and that this like the place that they just decided to put it.
There, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just very inappropriate. Like, she hooks up with him. And
First,
like,
I wasn't sure if it was a hookup because during the song they're not having sex or anything.
Yes.
but after that,
And we had just talked about him being a TA, and I was just like, okay, is this just really inappropriate dancing? And then we find out later.
Like, the whole situation is double inappropriate. One, teachers and students should not be having sexual relations. It is like a power imbalance, and it's just inappropriate and unprofessional. Two, a teacher and their TA should not be having sexual relations for the same reasons times 10. So,
Cassandra should be fired.
She went from bad to infinity worse.
Yeah, it's horrible. So in this scene, though, we only see that, like, at the end of the song, they kiss. Well, Brody kisses her. Like, he's the one who
I must have missed that. I don't remember them kissing during this scene.
Yeah, so she gets up on the piano and she's like laying back all sexually, and then he gets on top of her, and then he's the one who initiates the kiss. But yeah, that's what happens in the scene. And then Santana's being sad on stage. Wade's sad off stage.
I really wish that they had gone with Unique, because they really hyped up that storyline that she was going to be Rizzo, and then they just like pulled the rug out from under our feet.
Not gonna lie, I was actually excited to watch this episode because I was like, oh, Unique's gonna sing that song, and I love that song. Nope.
Yeah, it was very strange. It was almost like someone, like they had planned on this and they had aired the last 2 episodes, and then someone was like, yeah, we can't actually do this. Fix it. It's what it felt like to me.
Yeah. Pop out.
Yeah. But then we get that Mike and Tina closure that everyone's asking for.
So he's like, hey, you were so great as Jan. Maybe we shouldn't have broken up. And it's like, oh, so now you realize her worth? And then she's like, you know what? I like who I am. I'm sad that we broke up, but you know what? Let's talk. And I'm like, no, you can just go without him, girl. Like, you got this.
We don't even know why they broke up in the first place.
No.
They just broke up. We didn't see any of that. So I was like, okay, weird. I don't care, but
Yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah. I think
guess?
zero people were asking for that scene.
Mhm.
It just felt so half-assed, and it's just so typical of the way their relationship is always treated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But she's like, yeah, I like who I am, and I'm not ready to just lose who I am for you.
Also, why would someone like playing a different character make you realize that you want to date them?
That's a great question. Like, what? I don't understand. Like, anything that would substantiate Mike's like reasoning happened off screen. Like, we don't know. Like, we don't see him like looking on wistfully, being like, oh, she's awesome. Man, I'm an idiot for breaking up with her or whatever. Like, we don't get any of that. It just comes out of nowhere. They just needed a filler. They're like, we need to put in 28 seconds.
This whole episode felt like filler.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you know what? It wasn't the Rocky Horror Glee show. You know?
I love how they went from doing the most out there musical to the two most basic High School Musicals.
Yeah. Next up, High School Musical.
I'm waiting for it.
That's already a show.
So the next thing I have written is, did this eating disorder just last for a day? And it was cured by a boy telling her how hot she is? Awesome.
It's not, he doesn't even tell her how hot she is. I can't get over this. He tells her how hot she wouldn't be if she puked.
It's like, this is such a weird thing. Cullen, take us through this scene. This is just...
Didn't we already do this scene?
No, this is a different
Oh,
scene.
it's the other one.
Yeah.
Where she walks out. Okay, yeah.
She's in the sandy, like, black suit.
The cat suit, the like iconic thing.
Which you would have already seen.
Thank you. Don't they do dress rehearsal? Thank you. Like, they would have seen it. Why is he so shocked now that she looks so good? But that's the precipice of this, is like, he's like, oh wow, like, you look awesome.
And then he's like,
don't get an eating disorder. Don't have that. Don't do it.
And Kitty's like, you should be nervous. We have the toughest theater critic for the Lima Muckraker is in town.
Isn't the Lima Muckraker... Wait, the Lima Muckraker or the McKinley High School Muckraker? Because I thought it was the high school's Muckraker, because that was what the school's gossip newspaper was.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it the Lima newspaper?
I thought that they said Lima because I was very confused when they talked about this writer being a sophomore.
Yes, no, so it definitely is the school newspaper. So it might still be the Lima Muckraker. Okay. Yeah, because I didn't hear the Lima part. I just heard the Muckraker. I was like, oh, it's a student newspaper. Who fucking cares? But yeah, she basically like threatens, like, you're probably going to get reamed, and because you look so terrible, kind of thing. It's like...
And he's like, don't listen to her.
Why is
Don't pay
Kitty
attention
doing
to
this?
that.
What the fuck is the point? Like, is she just that evil that she just wants to bring people down like that?
She's mad at Marley for breaking her and Jacob.
That's still what this is about?
Yeah.
So weird. It's so weird.
Agree. They dated
but
for
also
2 days.
she stole the part from her, so maybe that's also what this is about.
Yeah.
She won it fair and square.
Not in Kitty's mind.
True.
Because Kitty lies and steals and cheats, therefore everyone else does too.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. So then he kisses her, and Jake looks on like, oh.
Yeah, I forgot. It was like, oh, is he
He
in
likes
love
her
with...
or what?
Yeah.
Jake kind of likes her.
I forgot. I was like, oh, is he in love with Ryder? Oh, no, that's right. He has a thing for Marley. Never mind.
A more interesting show, he'd be in love with Ryder.
Right. I
So
thought this
I
was
had-
an interesting show for a second.
I think I must have just like blacked out all the kissing that happened in this episode because I don't remember the Cassie kiss and I don't remember this kiss either.
You're like, ugh, these people are gross. I can't.
And then they get on stage and they sing "You're the One That I Want."
Which the set, it looks like
Honey.
kids threw it together. It doesn't look super professional.
Yeah, it feels high school.
Yeah, I
Maybe
was
a
like,
little top tier high school, but high school nonetheless.
exactly. Like I was like, okay, this seems somewhat realistic. Also, I was surprised they didn't give Marley a blonde wig because Sandy's supposed to be blonde. So I thought that was an interesting choice.
But they switched the lyrics of Sandra D to mud brown hair or something.
Right, I think so. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. I was like, I hate this. Oh my god. So yeah, they're doing the dance like how they do in the movie. It's Marley and Ryder. And then all of a sudden, like they go through the tunnel thing to pop out on the shaky thing. I'm being really great with words right now. And then Finn comes out, and I was like, wait, what? Did he just insert himself into this musical?
That's what I was thinking too.
I was so confused at first, and then I was like, oh, got it, dream sequence. Cool, because then it flashes to Rachel in the audience. I was like, oh, okay, I got it. She's like imagining it or whatever. Cool.
Yeah, and then it turns, and then everybody starts inserting themselves into the
It's
musical.
a mass hallucination.
Yeah, and then there's like a flashback to when Rachel and Finn did this song in Glee Club, and it was literally like the scene that he described a couple episodes ago where he was like, yeah, you remember the first time I met you and I thought you were like really fucking creepy? Like, do you remember that
Yeah.
scene? That's kind of what this is, because he's like making a weird creeped out face and she's like, ooh. And I was like, aw, it's the flashback to when he thought his, or he was being weirded out by his future ex-fiance.
And
I forgot
her-
that they were engaged at one point.
Right?
Wow.
Were they?
yeah.
Yeah.
Last season.
Last season they were engaged and then they broke it off.
At the
And then
age-
they kind of
the age
broke
18.
up.
Yeah, at the age of 18.
Yeah.
They're
And
insane.
and their parents like pretended to let them go through with it and then like ended up having to let them go through with it because they're technically adults. So it's fun. Yeah. So this weird mass hallucination thing happens.
Because Kurt and Blaine imagine themselves singing Mike and Tina, Santana and Brittany. So all the sexualities are represented: straight, gay, lesbian, and Asian.
I love that. That's what the A stands for in the LGBTQIA.
Oh my gosh, my sister sent me this TikTok where about this guy talking to this girl, and she's like, and it's so great that we're part of the LGBT community together. And he's like, oh, I didn't know you were gay. No, the A stands for ally.
Okay, so quick thing on this note. So I took a like gay lit class in college, and that was like our first class where we broke down the giant acronym. And we did have a discussion about the A, like, oh, some people think it stands for ally. A lot of other people think it stands for ace and asexuality. So that's really funny that you said that you were talking about that, because I think about that conversation a lot about the people like, oh, it means ally. And I was like,
So yeah, they sing "You're the One That I Want," and then afterwards, Rachel's upset. She goes to the bathroom to call Brody. And Cassandra picks up the phone and is like, he's soaping up his chiseled
Fizzled physique.
his chiseled physique in the shower. And she's like, what? And she's like, you left New York to watch her play with your loser ex-boyfriend, leaving the hottest piece of ass in Niata, lonely and distraught. I was there for him when he was lonely and distraught. We hooked up. You were overreaching, auditioning for an off-Broadway play, telling me I need to get back in the game. Honey, I am the game.
This is so ridiculously vindictive that, like, it's pointless. Like, it literally... So my boyfriend literally watches with me. He goes, geez, how many assholes are there in this show? And I was like, they just need the drama. Like, this was literally planted just for stupid drama. Like, she has no reason to do this other than just to, like, harass a student and then have sex with a student. Yeah,
She's a
insane.
psychopath.
Yeah,
She literally just used Brody to get back at this one freshman girl.
Yeah.
Like, that is like insane. Like, get your priorities. Like, she's like, I am the game. I'm like, you're a loser teacher at a school that isn't even real in real life.
Yeah.
And
Channel your sociopathic tendencies into something more constructive.
your arch enemy is a 19-year-old girl. Like,
Yeah.
you're obviously a loser.
If you're a sociopath, message for sociopaths out there, you have an advantage to get further in life than anyone else because you understand how to use the rules. So use the rules, don't break them, and then no one can break you.
That was so inspirational.
Thank you.
Another piece of dark Alyssa advice.
But, like, to kind of jump off of that, like, yeah, like, people who have sociopathic tendencies can often read people really well, and like sometimes they will exploit weaknesses to get ahead, and like some people will think that's awful, but like it's kind of a fact of life. Like, she could definitely be exploiting the weakness of someone who actually, like, isn't just a student who she's supposed to be teaching. Like, she's just being a giant asshole.
Yeah.
What is she going to gain from this? She doesn't get notoriety. She doesn't further herself. She just, like, she
You like
honestly,
to
like,
hook up with sexy guys.
It's worse because,
right.
like, maybe I would admire her manipulativeness if she had more ambition and was actually trying to do something with it.
This
But
would
she's
actually
not.
Get her somewhere. This is going to get her fired because you're not allowed to sleep with students. It's inappropriate.
She's just a terrible person. Like,
she's not even good at being a sociopath. Loser. L on her head.
Another reference to Camp Rock. Whatever, major loser.
Oh my god, that hurt. Ow, right in the chest, right in the heart.
So then she's crying, and then we get this facial scene.
So she leaves the bathroom,
boy.
and Finn is like basically like, oh, what's wrong? And then
she's like, I'm fine. He's like, I used to be the boy you went to for every little thing, and now we can't even be friends anymore.
Yes, that's exactly how this is going to be, at least for a very long time. He's like, were you crying about me? And I'm like, okay, one, the audacity of him to be like, of course she'd be crying about me. She's see me, blah, blah, blah. And then he like looks disappointed that she's like, no, I'm not crying about you. He like looks disappointed. He's like, oh, damn. And I'm like, you're disgusting.
And then he immediately like jumps to this conclusion where he's like, oh, it's about him.
Oh, no, Alyssa, it's not a conclusion. Oh, never mind. It is a conclusion. He doesn't necessarily jump to it because he knows her different types of crying, which is fucking creepy.
Four different types of crying.
And he lists them out. You know what this reminds me of? The types of drunk girls at parties that he listed off at that fucking alcoholic or alcohol awareness week episode.
Ew.
Finn likes to create lists that are slightly sexist and list them off.
It was like he's like, I know all your types of crying, and this one used to be reserved for me. I literally gagged.
Wait, what are the types of crying again? Okay, so number 1 is when she wants something.
Yeah. 2 is when she's disappointed. And 3 is when is over a boy.
No, there's
There's
4. There's 4.
No, he listed 3.
No, he listed 4 because one of them is when she's crying while she's singing, which made me laugh.
Oh, that's
yeah.
number 4. Yeah, no.
I was like,
When he
Hannah's got
started,
that covered.
yeah, listen, I am on top. Okay, you know what? Maybe I'm gross too because I also know that type of crying. I pointed that out on day 1.
Leah Michelle Squint singing started with Take a Bow by Rihanna. No, it started with On My Own in the
That's
pilot.
literally episode 1, yeah. But yeah, this is just disgusting. Like, as soon as he started being like, yeah, you have 4 types of crying, I was like, whoop, gonna just zone out here until this is over.
And then
I have
then
one
he's
type
like,
of crying.
it's called crying.
No, it's when I cut onions.
Do you know if you chew gum while you cut onions, it's supposed to help? Also, put your onion in the freezer for like a minute or 2. It helps to like keep the like harden the juices a bit so they don't flow out when you're cutting them.
Interesting.
So
I'm gonna
if you
have to
don't
try
wanna
it.
cry, if you don't want to waste your tears, retain that salt. There you go, Alyssa.
I've legitimately, it's not about the salt, it's about the moisture. We're in a drought here, okay?
She's like, I gotta camel it up. I gotta keep it all in.
So then he's like, oh, it's about him, wasn't it? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, well, maybe we should. Then he jumps to, well, maybe we shouldn't talk anymore. And I'm like, you're the one who started this conversation by
'cause
being
he's
like,
oh,
let's be friends.
I knew that you would be into him, but I didn't know you'd be moving on so fast. It's like, fuck you, Finn. Like, I hate to like go into this again, but he literally like technically broke up with her at the end of last season, left her hanging, didn't talk to her when he ended up having to leave the army, and then fucking abandoned her, made her waste her money to come make sure that he was okay, / break up with him. Like,
I wanted him to somehow like redeem himself at least a little bit, where he would be like, you're crying about him, I'm sorry, is there anything I can do to help? Like,
Yeah.
but no, like
if you actually want to be her friend, be like, I'm really sorry.
it was ridiculous. His reaction was ridiculous.
Will you do something like that to me? To myself? To leave me alone? For no reason?
What?
No, I would not just ghost you for 4 months and expect us to still be dating.
Yeah, no,
Okay, good.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
In the real world, if someone does that, like ghost you after you've had a conversation of like, yeah, I want you to be free. I'm setting you free because I may have been your slave master, kind of. Yeah, like when you have that kind of conversation, it's like, oh fuck, I guess we're over. I can do whatever I want, I guess. And then they show up and they're like, what did you do? You slept with somebody else. And it's like, bro, what?
She didn't even sleep with anyone.
Oh, happy Father's Day, guys. I was just,
What?
I didn't know why it just in my head and then came out of my mouth. But it did. Happy Father's Day. All you daddies out there.
All you daddies and zaddies.
Anyway.
So this whole storyline is deeply sexist because Brody is treated as like a sexual object and not as a person with choices who chose to hook up with his teacher over Rachel. It's just like, oh, Rachel was gone, so I immediately hooked up with Cassandra July, like for a
Right.
weekend. Like that makes no sense.
Yeah.
And it's all about, it's not about a man choosing to be unfaithful or sleep around. It's about the scheming woman who seduced him.
Yes, exactly. Like, and they're like he, I think only has like 3 lines in this whole thing. So like, and it's all like before the sex stuff happens. Like it's
Yeah,
it's all in that one scene. I expected him to come out and be like, "What are you doing with my phone?"
Yes,
that doesn't happen, does
same.
it? Right?
No,
Like,
he
nothing
doesn't come
happened.
out. Mm-mm.
And then we get a blurt scene.
Blurt.
Blaine is like, Kurt, I need to tell you about this guy. I didn't mean anything. And Kurt's like, you're gonna tell me I didn't mean anything? That doesn't matter. Like, relationships are about trust, and I can't trust you anymore. And then he's like, we need to go. And Rachel's like, yeah, this place doesn't feel like home anymore. We need to go home. And I'm like, get over yourselves, you drama queens.
I mean, I don't understand why Blaine starts with, I have to tell you about this guy. No one wants to hear about the person you cheated on.
Yeah, don't start with that. Don't lead with that.
That's
lead
a
with
bad
that
decision.
That you cheated on your boyfriend with a lighthouse.
I love that joke. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then the Glee Club is assembled, and Will is like reading the rave review.
You said that like the Avengers were assembled.
They're like the Avengers, right?
Who are they avenging?
They're actually the villains. They're the Suicide Squad. But they're not doing anything good. They're just committing crimes against humanity.
See, that's DC. Are we in Marvel or DC?
We're in the Gleeverse, bitches. So then they're like reading, and it's like, my last breath will be McKinley, Grease, Bravo.
They read the entire article. It was way too long.
This is like they plucked 2 stars out of the heavens, Ryder Lynn and Marley Rose.
Which I noticed that both of their last names are first names of women. Fun fact. But then Shu goes, all right, that's what I call a rave review. And I was like, that's what everyone calls a rave review too, because that's what a rave review is. It's high praise.
And then he says, even though this person is only a sophomore. And I was like, what?
Sophomores can be intelligent and cultured too, but this one clearly isn't, because they would have been like, that was garbage.
Sophomores in high school? They don't have the right to be cultured yet. They're not old enough.
They have the right to be cultured? That's an interesting statement. I mean, I think they're intelligent enough to be able to tell what is and isn't a good performance of Grease. Let's put it at that.
If they can't be put... Oh, no, not going to say that.
That's good. Yes, keep those filters in there.
So then Will's like, I'm leaving you in Finn's hands. I'm going off to Washington.
Bye.
Bye. And that's how the episode ends.
And then he flies off in a car like in Grease.
And
then it goes off a cliff like Thelma and Louise.
And we're like, yes. So that is the end of Glease.
Thank God.
It gave me a new Glease on life.
Were you waiting for the end of the episode to say that, Cullen?
Yes.
I love you. All right.
So now it's
Tina
time.
time.
This is a section of the podcast dedicated to Tina, one of the 2 elephants at the LA Zoo.
You're on fire today.
I think I saw her today, or I saw Jewel. I'm not sure which one I saw.
You went to the zoo today?
Yes, we went to the zoo.
How dare you I love the zoo. You should have taken me and I would have been the perfect third wheel.
This would have been a cute little tricycle.
Yeah.
Ding ding, like your little bell.
Everybody loves counting. So Tina had 7 lines that I counted.
7? I was gonna guess 7 because I counted 4 and I was like, I think she had a few more before that. So 7. So
Nice.
that was my guess to Cullen's actual number.
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel accomplished.
I mean, that's probably one of the highest she's had, except for that one episode where they give her like a bunch.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty up there, especially for this season.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But they definitely treated her like garbage because they didn't give her, a current student, a role in the student musical. So, or
Yep.
a role that went to someone who was not a current student, I should say. One of the leading roles, like Rizzo is a leading role.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, co-leading role.
Yeah. Tina could have gotten off book. I believe in Tina.
Yeah.
So now it's time to talk about our MVPs and LVPs. Rafa, who is your least favorite character?
Kitty, I guess.
That checks out.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I put too. And I literally wrote no further explanation needed. Listen to the rest of the episode. Go back. That's my explanation.
Alyssa?
Kitty's pretty terrible. I'm gonna go with Kitty.
I feel like the 3rd week in a row, I'm going with Kitty.
Yeah.
I hate Kitty. She is a terrorist.
The
She
one
is-
episode with the Left Behind stuff, I didn't think she was that bad. Like, yes, she did bully that girl, but like, it was a funny episode, and she was like, just like a tiny blip.
Oh, I don't know. I might have to go with Cassie.
She's definitely like a second for me. Yeah.
I think, like, I don't. She's a grown woman and should know better, while Kitty's still a teenager and has the potential to become better. I really think I'm changing my vote to Cassandra because she's awful and a sociopath, as we have discussed, but not.
She's going to remain
Constructive.
garbage.
Yeah. I thought about voting for Cassandra, but I'm like, I still fucking hate Kitty.
Like, what
She's-
is the future of Cassandra at this school? Like, there's
She's
no
gonna get
future.
fired.
Yeah, she's like, if she's not doing it to Rachel, she's gonna do it to someone else.
Yeah.
And she's gonna do it to some like Broadway star's kid.
Yeah.
And I'm not even really thinking about Rachel at this point. I'm thinking about Brody. He was completely taken advantage of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was completely inappropriate and like absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh, Glee and their psychopathic female villains.
Yeah.
Isn't that just all women?
Ha ha ha. Hormones, am I right?
Oh boy.
That's the message Glee has left me with.
So let's talk about our favorite characters, our MVPs. Rafa, who's your favorite character?
That's a difficult question.
It is a really hard question.
Yeah.
Everyone was pretty trash this episode.
Yeah, there's no one who really stood out as being like, oh, they did a good job.
I chose Tina because she is the backbone of the Glee Club and of that musical. Not only did she make the costumes, she also played Jan and apparently played it phenomenally. I've only had 1.5 White Claws. That's a problem. Phenomenally. Yeah, I'm going with Tina.
I really didn't like anyone. Not anyone was
Pick
good.
a random object that you remember from the episode. There you go. Pick Marley's hairdo in the final number.
I'm gonna go with Marley's costume. Do you know how many different like iterations it had to go through when Kitty was fucking with it?
Yeah,
I'm surprised it could stay together by the time that
Yeah.
it got on stage.
kudos to that fabric.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
I'm going with Marley.
Okay.
I related to her a lot because fat phobia hurts people, and it was hurting her in a really tragic way because she couldn't. It like was just changing the way she sees her mom. It's changing the way she sees herself.
Yeah.
It's just damaging her. So it's not like an MVP, like a "you go girl." It's a "oh, I sympathized with you."
Yeah.
Who do you think, Rafa?
I don't know. I told you it's a hard question. Maybe the same character as you.
Or what about Teen Angel Dreamboat Blaine? He did great in that number.
Yes. But I don't know. Maybe she, because Kitty was really mean to her. I guess so.
Yeah. I really hope this is the end of that part of the storyline for her, because
I'm gonna guess no.
I don't like this, and I don't think Glee's gonna handle it anymore.
Yeah. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say they're gonna wring this one out and get as much as they can from it.
Love it. Can't wait.
So now let's talk about the music.
Which there isn't many songs, right?
There's
3 songs, no?
Grease Lightning, Look at Me, I'm Sandra D. Look What You Made Me Do. No. Look What You There are
you
worse things I could do.
To get Taylor Swift.
Oh, the
Swift
Glee
is
version of
sponsored
Look What You Made Me Do. That would be interesting.
us.
There are worse things I could do. Look at Me, I'm Sandra D. Reprise. And You're the One That I Want. And Beauty School Dropout.
So only 5.
Yeah. Wait.
6.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, 6.
Yeah.
Unless you count O Fortuna, which played when Sue was trashing the school.
No. There are worse things I could do on here, only because I really love that song. And I thought Santana and Unique did a really great job. I thought Cassandra sounded fine, but I didn't like her context. But I didn't really love anything else. I didn't even really love this. So I'm just gonna go with
Are we doing
things I
worst
could do.
song?
Oh shit. Spoiler.
Yeah, we start with worst song.
I was just going from top to
Wait,
bottom.
what?
The Sandra D. I don't like that song in the movie, and it's because in the movie it's just about bullying, and in the show it's about worse bullying. So no.
I agree.
Alyssa?
I think I'm also going to go with that one. Look at me, and I'm Sandra D. It wasn't clever. It wasn't anything. It just kind of made everyone feel bad and like fake, and like Marley didn't have any real friends, and it brought down some of the characters that we like know and love. So it was just not a good song.
And it also like completely changed who they are so they could fit in the
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to Look at Me, I'm Sandra D too. Yeah.
So Hannah, what's your favorite song?
Oh my gosh, this is gonna come as a real surprise to everyone on this podcast. There are worse things I could do. And that's the song. That's the song I chose because I didn't really love anything. And yeah, I already explained it.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Grease. I like some of the songs. I don't like some of the songs. But I think in context in this episode, There Are Worse Things I Could Do is probably my favorite. And I sing along to it, so that's always a good sign.
Ballad.
Yeah. Even though I wish it was unique, I really, really wish it was unique. It was fine anyway. Not really great though, just fine. Like it's on that middle tier there.
Okay.
I'm going with Beauty School Dropout.
Beauty school dropout.
Because Blaine was dreamy.
Graduation day.
And he
to
looked really
you.
cute.
Yeah, dreamy.
Yeah. So that brings
Catchy
us
song.
to the end of our episode.
Ah.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, so you can find Gleeboot on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We are at GleebootPod. You can also find us on Tumblr, gleebootpod.tumblr.com.
You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at yourboyryan99 and YouTube at yourboyryan.
And you can follow me at a.m.swearingen. That's SWEARINGEN. I was gonna try and spell it incorrectly just to like throw you through a loop. And then I realized that I couldn't. Like I legitimately cannot spell my name incorrectly. I can't do it.
That's interesting. I can only because a lot of people misspell it SLYBESTER. Shit, now people know my last name. Wait, people would have
People
known
know.
if they listened to the beginning. Anyway,
Yeah.
all the times I talk about cheating my aunt.
That's true. I could spell it the way that some people spell is they just add a random T in my name.
Where?
So they usually spell it Swearington. So Swearingen.
Got it.
They don't know why.
That's silly.
Yeah, it's a little strange there.
Welcome to Swearington, England. That's what it reminds me of.
Warrington Abbey.
All right.
All right. So tune in next week for
Another episode.
another episode. I don't know what's happening next. But
Yay!
bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Gleeboot.